Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, agents. I am Matty Carlin, and welcome to a special Division 2 report breakdown. We all saw the live stream today. We have all the juicy tidbits of information taken directly from that live stream that happened today, and we're going to go ahead and do something a bit different. I'm actually going to play clips while reporting on the live stream. You're listening to a very special Division 2 live stream recap report right here on the pause screen. Alright agents, Monty Carl here, and I did sit through today's special report, which was at a shockingly available time for me. Most of the time in the last division, the state of the game was not at a time that I was willing to climb out of bed for, so this was a special treat. I do hope that they continue to keep the state of the game format and continue that tradition, as I really brought the community together. So let's start off right now by breaking down all of the content that they went over, and let's start by talking about the endgame content that you'll be able to play. The endgame content, the way it's being presented, will no doubt make the Division 2 a much more immersive experience for most people. When you beat the campaign, that is where the real fun starts, as the new faction called the Black Tusk come in and take over the entire world and all of the missions. So unlike OG Division, each mission will change from their original faction to the Black Tusks. At least in my understanding of what they're telling us about the game, no more endless rioters mobbing the streets. This new faction will come in and pose a new challenge for each of the missions and give you a reason to go through all of them over again and to use all of your battle-tested skills that you learned earlier on and put them to the test. The Black Tusks are technologically and tactically superior to anything you've faced up until this point, and the other factions, well, they're basically the easier version of this, and they will be in-game displaying things like drones, warhounds, and mini tanks, to name a few, plus some more advanced weaponry than you've faced before. The nice thing is that even though this is the endgame, there is still variables that will change the mission and continue giving players new experiences each time they run through the game.
So one of the things that I know we've talked about since the start of when we announced the Division 2 was in-game is going to be a huge focus. And I thought what we could do is take a look at one of the casually. I prepared this for ages. Let's just take a look at something. There's an invade mission.
Yeah. So, obviously I don't want to get into.
Well, we can't spoil everything.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to spoil the story and stuff. But essentially, when endgame hits, the world does transform. Right. We have a brand new faction that comes in, that actually takes over territory and takes over all of the main missions of the game. It all kind of feeds into this really dynamic kind of end game experience, or at least that's our hope, right? Is that you're always playing different missions, and the living world, the open world changes as well depending on the present. They'll take over name zones, they'll take control points.
Exciting, because I know that some people did not necessarily understand that properly. Is that so? The Black Tusk takes over and becomes part of this whole living world and all that, but the old factions are not gone either.
Yeah, that's right.
All it does is just like making them even more angry. So
yeah, they're not happy about the Black Tusk being there either, right?
Yeah. So it creates all these situations in the open world where suddenly there's that one faction that takes everything, and then everybody's kind of fighting against each other and fighting against them, and they just come in and they don't care. They're just attacking everyone.
Yeah, and it's
pretty cool.
Kind of as you can see as well, like the Black Tusks are very technologically advanced. Things like flying drones, they have like the things that we call the warhounds, which have that super powerful semi-automatic weapon on their back. They have kind of mini tanks that they can control. So they have a lot of different tools at their disposal. Obviously, their tech level and also their their training were key to kind of who they were, right? Because they are also the most tactically superior force that you will fight, right? They don't have more hit points than anyone else. They don't do more damage than anyone else, but they're tactically superior.
Us really early in the game is crafting. Now it's different from...
Now let's talk crafting. Crafting is back in a big way and quite different from what we're used to in the original Division. Now crafting will actually be useful and for everyone. Blueprints will be based on the crafting table's level, so the crafting of the blueprints will level at the same rate as your crafting table levels at. The more you upgrade your crafting table, the better quality items you can craft. So I assume that very similar to the original Division, when you upgrade upgrade your base of operations, you're going to be upgrading your crafting table. And when you upgrade your crafting table, it's going to go from green to blue to fuchsia to yellow, and so on and so forth. This is actually exciting for several reasons. One, it no longer makes drops useless, and unlike OG Division, you will need to break down these items to get the pieces you need to actually craft meaningful gear and items. This means too, if you're familiar with one of the major gripes that I had in the original Division, is that scavenging will be an actual thing. You'll actually have to go out and scavenge for items and not just grab things, you know, from boxes and stuff like that.
But like at the highest level, I think the biggest differences are that one, that kind of crafting is now for everyone, which is a big difference. So like you will be crafting weapon mods, for example. You'll have them forever once you craft them. Blueprints will level with you, so you don't have to have a bunch of the same blueprints of different levels. You'll get them, and the I think the biggest kind of change in my mind that every single item that you pick up is useful.
Exactly.
Even if you aren't going to equip it, it's useful in some way, right? Because you can strip things from it that give you some use.
One of the things that is coming in the Division 2 is that you'll be able to upgrade your actual crafting bench.
That's right.
And that's how you'll get higher quality things.
That's right.
Back to your point of the weapon mods. I think what is really key to that discussion is that you craft a weapon mod once and you have it forever. There is no random rolls on those weapon mods. That's a completely different kettle of fish.
I do want to point out one other really cool thing too, which is we have so many more materials and things. Like it's a lot more grounded in reality this time. I think it's a lot more intuitive. It's a lot of fun to play around with. So
it's really like, I think with the crafting, and also I think combined to that, having, you know, the civilians with their needs and everything in the world means that like scavenging is really a thing.
That's right.
You know, where you're really going to be going out in the open world and therefore also fighting in the open world because it's a much more dynamic one. But then like going out there, scavenging for resources, for all these, you know, pieces you need and everything is really going to be something that you need to do, but something that is fun to do as well.
We'll just quickly show you what recalibration looks like because I'm super stoked about it.
The recalibration station makes a new appearance and is back, and they've tooled it again to help agents with bad rolls on weapons to get better ones. So look for the recalibration. I don't know how it's going to work, but they did show off some of it, so we're going to go ahead and show you that so that you guys can see it and see how recalibration works. So that means that there will be stats and you will have a certain limit as to where you're going to get a drop at, but don't worry, you're going to be able to go to the recalibration station and get that back.
But the living world is now...
I don't care about you guys, I just want to play the game.
Can you just leave? I just want to play the beta.
Okay.
The living world.
All right, let's move on to the open world. This is probably the part of the adventure that I'm most excited about because if you remember from the OG Division, it wasn't very exciting. You knew exactly where enemies would spawn, you knew where enemies were. There wasn't really a reason to run around in the open world as it was in the Dark Zone. So this time around, lots of activities, lots of different things to do, and events in the open world where repetitive in the OG Division are going to be dynamic in the Division 2, and it's going to be an ever-changing world that is shaped based on the wants and needs of different factions and the player's actions. The factions act whether or not the player is there. So, if there's a public execution going on...
Public executions are a thing. Actually,
that's right.
in this clip that Ella captured, the thing I love pointing out about this is you actually see another faction getting involved with the public execution, which isn't always going to happen. But the fact that these factions interact independently of you, of your impact on the world, I think is super cool.
yeah, that's right. I mean, regardless of whether you're there, they're still trying to accomplish their goals, right?
Yeah, and the cool thing with the fact that it's super dynamic is that right now this is happening there, but if you were to come back later, you know, there might be something else happening here, or
That's
nothing
right.
at all.
Or nothing at all.
Depending
exactly.
on how the living world is behaving, and depending on which faction is currently dominating, and what contribution you made to all of that thing. So it's really interesting then to just run around and always, you know, experience something different.
Also, these things can also be controlled by either friendly faction as well,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
changes the whole
That's
dynamic
right.
again.
Factions also react to the player's actions. So acting against a certain faction and just a certain faction there will cause them to possibly increase their ranks in certain areas. So if they see you attacking them in certain areas, they're going to get mad and they're going to actually bolster their ranks at maybe a control point or something like that. Same way with helping civilians. The more you help the civilians out by giving them resources, the more that will help them build up their control points as well and help them to defend against other factions from coming in. They did mention stuff about blockades, but they didn't really go into that. I can only assume at this point right now that those blockades are very similar to control points where you have to take them over.
And like you said, those variables of, the factions finding out, how many resources do we have? Do we need to go out and gather things? Do we need to, if they're suppressed into an area, they'll more aggressively expand.
Yeah.
It's
There's actually a really cool tool that you probably saw as well that visualizes this at like a top level, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, it's really impressive when you watch it and you see the game that's kind of calculating and simulating everything. It's really impressive. But yeah, I think the whole logic is really interesting because it's also, there's many layers, right? Like a faction is first going to be like trying to make sure that they get all the resources they need, for their own survival and everything. And then from there, they're going to start growing more aggressive and start going out there to start taking territory. And if you don't, because you might not want to be part of it, you can let it run on its own.
Yeah, you don't have to interact with any of them.
But of course, the more you let a faction do whatever they want, and potentially also, the harder it's going to be for you to fight back. Eventually, also the harder it's going to be for the civilians and the settlements, because they're going to get completely overrun eventually.
If you, for example, we saw the control points, but the other activities that are to take on the factions that are currently controlling that control point around the area, if you piss them off enough, they'll reinforce that control point up to higher levels.
Yeah, right.
And that's in the, you said in the last world tier, I think it is, once you hit in-game.
Yeah,
really good. But yeah, it's the same with, because also it works with the civilians as well, right? Like here we were seeing bringing resources to civilians that are actually controlling a control point. And it's like if you give them resources, then they're also going to grow stronger and reinforce the control point. So it's going to be better defended and therefore less likely to fall to another faction.
So there's going to be roaming bosses, but they will be a little bit more difficult. They're not going to spawn in the same place every time. So it's not like you can just spawn into a waypoint and then go up and kill the Bullet King again. There's going to be, a little bit of difference this time around. They'll have a little bit more structure to them. So my understanding from what they're talking about is that maybe it's actually going to be a little bit more of a boss fight instead of just a run in, shoot all these guys and kill them and collect your loot. It sounds like what it's going to be is that they might be a little bit more geared for these encounters and that you'll actually have to come up with a strategy as to how to beat them.
Named enemies in the open world. They exist. Coming back.
Roaming bosses in the open world.
Sure. All right. Just to be clear. And before Reddit says Bullet King confirmed.
Yes. But they're a little bit different this time around. So there's a little bit more structure to some of them.
Okay, but we can say that named bosses are out there in the open world.
Yes.
They're worth finding.
They are absolutely worth finding.
Yes.
They are not always easy to find.
No.
And there are a certain number of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's also a bounty system.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a completely different system.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the difference I want to point out, because a lot of, like we said, in-game focus. One of the loops that I'm really excited about is the bounties network.
Yeah. Kind of the most wanted criminals kind of in the DC area that you have contracts to essentially eliminate or defeat. And there are a number of different ways that you can get those contracts. So some of the more kind of difficult and most rewarding kind of contracts you have to kind of find in special ways. There's some kind of hidden aspects to it, some surprises to it.
Or at least talk to people and find them. It sounds like this game is going to be heavily based on exploring the world around, finding different secrets. As they did say, there will be lots of hidden secrets, some of them that they don't even know of yet. So some items won't be available in the beta, and it sounds like this is probably one of them. So we're going to have to wait for March 15th or March 11th for the game to launch so that you can get your hands on those.
And on one hand, it's us not wanting to reveal too much, but it's also because there's a lot of hidden secrets in the game that people will have to find on their own, and we don't want to spoil them.
There are a couple that I'm very proud of
that are very
that I cannot say.
Yes,
right.
And it's not because
several that you two don't know about either.
Yeah, probably. And it's just to be clear, it's not because, like, it's not that we're not allowed to talk about them. It's just really that we don't want to reveal anything because, like, the surprise when people will find out is very important.
Who have the ability to get into the private beta on Thursday. What will be the first thing that they do once they get in?
All right, let's go ahead and start talking about the private beta. If you missed out on any of Hamish's live stream today, he actually streamed the first hour of the beta, but players won't be starting at the beginning of the game. They don't want to spoil the story. They want to expand on that as over time. Same way with the original Division. You didn't start at the other side of the game. They just kind of dropped you in with a level 30 character. Now, character creation will be the first thing on the list that you're going to be able to do. However, it will be limited in the beta, so you're probably going to stick with a randomized character instead of making your own character. So they're going to hold some stuff back in the character creation. That way it's a little bit more of a surprise once you get in there.
Well, I mean, the first thing that they'll do is creating a character. Right. And so we have character customization in the game, and for the beta we want to also keep it keep it as a surprise, keep it as something that people will discover, really spend the time to actually customize their character. In the beta we're just going to offer you the option to randomize your character.
Cool.
Just so you can, find a look that is similar to what you would want to go for. But we also don't want you to spend too much time in that because it still is a temporary character. It's not going to be the one you keep for the main game.
All right, so you've made your character. What happens next?
So you've made your character, and then basically, so there's a part, as I said, we keep under wraps, so that's not going to be in the beta. So what happens is you start directly in Washington, D.C., and the first thing that you need to do is establish a base of operations. And you know that there is one existing that is at the White House, which is probably one of the most important buildings in that city. But the White House right now is being under siege and being overrun by hyenas. So that's going to be the first thing you do is basically go there, liberate the White House, and establish your base of operations there.
Cool. All right, so we've established our base of operations there. What other content is there for people to experience in the beta?
So after that, I mean, then you're going to be making your way to the first settlement. We've talked about settlements, which are these kind of like pockets of civilians banding together to fight against the faction. So you're going to make your way to the first settlement. And then from there, you're going to start unlocking a lot of things. So we're going to have 2 main missions that you can play in the game. We also have side missions. We have 5 side missions, completely handcrafted. So you're going to have 5 of those in the beta. And then there's a lot of open world. I mean, we talked about the living world system. You'll get to actually experience that in the beta doc. And then on top of that, what we have is the dark zone.
Yep, of course.
We have to have the dark zone. So the thing that's a bit different with the dark zone here is that we've added an introduction mission to the dark zone, and the idea was really to try to bring people there in kind of a bit of a safe context, so they can actually make their first experience in the dark zone, kind of teach them what are the rules of the dark zone, how is it different from the rest, before you first then experience. We also have, organized PvP with conflict. So we'll have one game mode, which is skirmish. That will be available pretty early on. So for the people that just want a PvP, you can directly go there. Everything is normalized, so you don't even have to worry too much about your gear or about your character. You can just directly, as soon as you unlock the base of operations, actually, you will be able to go into PvP. So yeah, there's one invaded main mission. So the second mission that you get in the beta, it's called Jefferson Trade Center. You will get to play it as part of the normal game flow. So when you're level like 4 or 5 or something, you get to play it. And once you completed that mission, we will unlock the invaded version of it. So that will happen. So there's a time, which is on Friday at 5 p.m. our time. So that's 5 p.m. CET. We will make it available to all the people that already completed the mission in the normal playthrough. It's a bit confusing.
This is how it works, right?
It probably is.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly. So once you've completed the main mission in the normal playthrough of the beta, and after the time that I said, then you get to log out, and yes, you will have 3 level 30 characters fully equipped, each one with a different specialization. So you can just log into any of those characters, and then you will get to replay that mission, Jefferson Trade Center, but level 30 endgame with the Black Tusk as an enemy.
Now, they did go ahead and confirm, as the leaks confirm, that photo mode is coming to the Division 2. So there's going to be a lot of people out there that are very excited about this being able to take. I don't know if Washington, D.C. is going to be as thrilling as some of the shots that we've seen in New York, or at least as picturesque, but I'm willing to let that go ahead and have a chance. Now, how do you get into the beta and who gets in? Well, the pre-order has guaranteed access for those who have pre-ordered the game. So all the way from the very bottom pre-order all the way to the top pre-order, you can go ahead and you'll get in and you'll get your information tomorrow, or you can register for a chance to be selected. Those are the two options for getting in the game. Actually, there's a third option that they let us know. Everything will be sent tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So you should be able to receive an invite in your email. If you're on PC, you should be able to get a key to download the version of the beta. On console, it might be a little bit different for getting access to it. There should be a way so that you know exactly how to get the download, so that it is 45 gigabytes. So they want to make sure that you have 24 hours to do that. So the other third way that I told you is that if you have a friend that pre-ordered the game, yes, you can invite up to 3 friends to the beta. So you can put their email addresses in at the website and they will get an invite.
Console and all of that, it's a bit different. So just follow the instructions that are in the invitation. But yeah, all of that is going to start running out tomorrow. So, and what that means is also that starting tomorrow, 10 a.m. So from the moment you get the invitation, we also have a preload that is available.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. When can people download stuff?
Yes. So yeah, starting from tomorrow as well, we have the preload. So you will have 24 hours to download the build before we open the servers.
This is my terrible internet New Zealand brain talking. How big is the download?
It's, yeah, you will want to get to it pretty fast because we're talking about 45 gigabytes.
The other thing is, can people bring a friend?
Yes. Actually, yes.
Oh, people asked about that before.
Yeah. So yeah, what we're doing with that beta is also we are allowing people to invite their friends. So everybody that gets access to the beta, pre-order or not pre-order, whatever, everybody that gets granted access to the beta gets to invite 3 of their friends as well.
So one of the important things that we're talking about is stash space. So let's go ahead and break down stash space, because some people were very concerned that some agents were going to be able to unlock stash space and have a larger stash than other people. That is somewhat true, but not wholly true. So when you buy the Elite Agent Pack, the idea is that getting that pack will earn you extra stash space early on. So when you log into the game and you start up, you'll have 100 spaces in your stash, 100 slots in your stash for the people who purchase the Elite Agent Pack. Regular agents will only have 50, but eventually everyone will catch up. Everybody basically will reach the max of 150 spaces or slots in your stash.
So what we're doing with stash space and the way we're looking at it, and here we're talking about the perk of actually getting the Elite Agent Pack that comes with what was called like extra stash space, or I can't remember what the actual wording of it was. So the idea is by getting that pack, what you're going to unlock is you're going to unlock extra stash space early on when you play the game. So the idea is really to give an extra boost from the early stages to the people that have it. So you're going to get extra stash space from the beginning.
Okay, give me numbers.
But then everybody gets to catch up.
All right, okay.
That's the important
But that's the important part, right?
Yeah.
Is that second part, is that everyone gets to catch up. Right?
So, and the way it works is we have a perk system in the game. So you're going to be, and you have that in the beta actually, you can gain what we call shade tech, which is, you know, a kind of currency that you have to explore the world and find. To unlock new skill variants, new perks, and all these kind of things. And some of those perks are actually to increase your inventory space and your stash space. And so what we're going to do is, for those that have this extra stash space, they're going to start with the final perk directly unlocked. So they don't have to grind to get it. They will have it directly unlocked, which means that at the beginning of the game, they will have more stash space. But that perk is available for everybody to get in the game as well if you get the currency.
By cats. So there you have it. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for the end of this special edition live stream. I want to keep it to under 20 minutes, so hopefully things will progress pretty quickly. I'm hoping to do a couple live streams while I'm playing the beta. So if you guys want to tune in, go ahead, subscribe, like this video. That way you guys can go ahead and check in on me while I'm playing through. I'm going to have 3 friend codes that I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I have 3 people that I'm going to give them to. Who knows? If I have any extras, I will just go ahead and post them on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, you have a better shot at getting those. That way, or actually, they won't be codes. I'll have to get your email address. So basically what I'll do is I'll just ask you for an email address, and the first 2 people that give it to me will be able to get into that. So hopefully that will come tomorrow, and we'll see about that. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this. It feels very good to be back making Division content. Thank you guys for all the support that you've given me. I do enjoy my regular guys that come around, but I also enjoy the new guys that come around too. This is really going to be exciting. If you want to play with me during the beta, go ahead and just shoot me a message or just drop it here. Message me on Twitter. Look me up on Facebook. Not Facebook. Don't look me up on Facebook. You don't want to see my face. Look me up on my gamer tag, which is CobraCon, despite the fact that I go by Mounty Carl. But Mounty Carl is returning to the Division. This has been his activation. And so there you have it. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to continue to do this. You will see regular updates on the Division right here. So I'm very excited as this is. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow or on the 7th when the Division beta launches. Thank you so much for watching. Unpause.
And see, mine has 3 shots left. Just what's gonna happen, and I'm huge. So
Yeah.
Enormous.
Drew's just
He doesn't look like it.
Drew's